Hello there, and welcome to Whiskey Lore and another tasting. And we're going to Kentucky for our next tasting. Actually, Kentucky and a hybrid of Canada. It's an interesting concoction here, and we'll jump right in and talk about it here in just a moment. But I want to send a shout out to Dean Dowsett, who has been a very faithful and wonderful Whiskey Lore Patreon member. And if you would like to become a member and help support the show, you can do so with the link below. And always leave comments too, by the way. I love when you guys leave comments and we can get little discussions going on there and talk about these whiskeys. I present to you my opinion, but I love to hear your opinion as well. And this is a I call it a concoction that I have had a strong opinion about for a long time, and it's not been a good one. I may be softening up on that a little bit, and I'll tell you how I'm softening up on it. The whiskey is BASIL HAYDEN'S Dark Rye. Now, they have new packaging for this. It's taken me a long time to get through this whiskey. I'm not even going to call it a whiskey, through this bottle. And the reason I don't want to call it a whiskey is because I purchased this while I was in a heavy rye mood, and I was looking for something that would be a really tasty rye. And I thought, if I get a rye with what this says is a port finish on it, well, it doesn't say port finish, it just says port, is all it says. Well, that might be kind of interesting. I don't know. I'd like to try that out. I've gotten into drinking smoky Islay scotches that have a sherry influence on it, so maybe this would work out really well. The problem is that when you pour it, you start to realize that there's something very different going on here. Basically what it is they have taken two whiskeys and a port wine and blended them all together. And in talking to whiskey distillers who have tried to just take a Madeira barrel and put whiskey into it, you have to be very careful, because that port can and Madeira, whatever it may be, can quickly overwhelm a whiskey and be, basically you could be buying a bottle of Madeira and it's going to taste the same. So that was my experience here. When I first bought this, I was expecting a really nice experience with rye, some spice, and maybe a touch of a port wine. Instead, what I ended up with was a bottle of port wine that just has a higher proof than port wine. This is 40% alcohol by volume. It is Alberta Canadian rye whiskey. It is a Kentucky straight rye whiskey, and it is a California port. Not sure the percentages of each. They blend them all together, and this really dark spirit is what you end up with. Now, as I say, I was ready to just circle on my rating list. No, we'll never buy this again. I'll be honest with you, I probably won't buy it again, even after I do this tasting. But I'm going to tell you why. And it's not because it's a bad product. In fact, it's a very tasty product. So we're going to jump into that. And we're going to start with the nose. And the nose is extremely light. You can pull maybe a little bit of dark fruit out of there. But you really got to draw on it. And there's not a whole lot coming out. So we'll jump in and do a taste. You get plum, you get dark cherry, you get raisins, wine, grapes, and I am struggling to find some rye. If there's rye in there, it has been so buried in the port that I'm seriously trying to find where the rye is. Maybe it's a hint of the pepper on the finish, but the raisin, that dark fruit, is thick, and it stays all the way through the finish. It lingers there. There's a little maraschino cherry that comes in on there. And like I say, the only thing I could say that's rye about this is maybe it has a little bit of a rye heat to it. Other than that, no. And so what I started using this for, and where half this bottle went, is pouring this over vanilla ice cream, because that's actually kind of tasty. What I've discovered is that this is a mood spirit. This is something that I'm going to drink when I'm in the mood to have some wine, but I don't want wine. I want something that's probably got kind of that sherry kind of an experience to it. A lot of those dark fruits, that sort of thing. And I mean, there are very successful versions of something like this, like, you know, High West does the Midsummer Night drams and Midwinter Night, but they're finishing in port. They're not just pouring port into a whiskey. And so I think it's heavy-handed, and I said that long ago. It's just heavy-handed. It's frustrating. It feels like this could be so much better than it is. But with that, I will also say that if you're in the mood for something that's a whiskey, but it tastes like a port, this is it. It's not dark rye. Screw them for saying dark rye. Frustrating, got me to buy a bottle that I really, I guess in a way I'm glad I tasted it, but that's my frustration with it. So anyway, on my scale, I am going to give it a just okay. It's just okay. If I'm in the mood for this, it's probably better than okay. But if it called itself dark rye, and that is really annoying. I feel like they could have used any bourbon in this, and it probably would have ended up tasting exactly the same way. So it is what it is. But anyway, that's my thought on it. And give me your thoughts below, and make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll be doing more of these tasting videos along the way. Thank you again. Cheers and Slán Java.